What's up, people of YouTube? Bolt Action Cuts here with a mid-fade tutorial with a texturized crop top. And I'm going to show you guys what the cut looked like and then show you guys how we got here. What do you think, bro? Yeah? So for me, everything starts with the shear work. So I'm going to go ahead and saturate his hair so I can do the initial horseshoe section that I'm going to use to create the foundation of this entire haircut. And the way that I find the sectioning for this is I find his cowlick first, and then I section growth pattern to growth pattern. So from that cowlick, I'm going to bring it to his growth pattern in the face, which is typically like right in the middle of the eyebrow. And I'm just going to do that on both sides. And then with my fingers flush up against the head, I'm going to pull to about the middle of my chest in elevation and just go across the entire perimeter, creating that shape with block graduation. And if I make sure that my fingers are all the way square with the head, I know that a 3 will work right into it, and I know that the guide will be perfect for the shape that I'm trying to create right now. And I'm gonna do this for the entire head, both sides and the back. And then after I do that, I'm gonna bring the top to match the sides. And I messed up a lot of these angles, so this part might be a little hard to follow, but I promise I'll be releasing a video that kind of explains this in greater detail. But you can see right here that I'm bringing the top to the sides, matching the elevation and making my cuts. And then as I get to the ear, I start to pull out a little bit to create the shape of the top of the styling area. And I need that to be like a little longer as it goes forward. So that's what I'm doing right now. And then kind of just trying to connect those two lines to almost what's already in the front. You'll notice that I keep combing everything down as well, just to kind of see how the hair is gonna lay after I cut it. And now I come through and do the top with some point cutting, and I'm using that perimeter as my guide. You can see on the sides of my hand, I'm kind of just bringing that straight across. I'm not taking any corners, I'm trying to create a square shape. So I'm thinking about that as I'm bringing the hair back through those sections, and I'm kind of just trying to take off the tip or the excess that's in the middle, going across the whole head as I do this. And I'm point cutting so that I'm already cutting texture into this top, guys. The texture is what is really gonna make this haircut pop after I style it. And I promise as I get going, I'm gonna find better angles and I'm gonna give you more detailed breakdowns of this. But if there's anything you guys actually want a detailed breakdown of, let me know in the comments and I will get on making a video about it. But as I move on, I'm gonna move to the fringe area and I'm gonna kind of point cut that length in so that I know where the length is when it falls. And then for a little bit of added texture, I'm gonna slice cut, which you basically don't fully close the shears as you glide through. You just kind of half close them as you glide through, and it cuts in amazing texture. And from there, I'm gonna blow dry the hair to where it's dry enough to where my clippers aren't gonna get clogged up as I do the sides. And if you remember what I said about that perimeter, with my fingers being flush against the head, I know that a 3 guard will just work right in to what I've created. So here, I'm just working a 3 in all across the head, just on both sides and the back, kind of clearing the way for what is going to become the fade work. And you can see that the 3 guard just blends right in to that foundation that we set and just already the shape of this haircut is coming together. It already looks like it could be a finished haircut. Like if he had just wanted this 3 on the sides, I'd be almost done with this thing. And from here, I'm gonna set up my fade work by stacking a 2 underneath the 3. And I think that used to, I thought when stacking guards that there kind of had to be like some separation between the 2, but you work them like right into each other. Like when I say stacked, I mean one right under the other, with just a little bit of wrist work to kind of actually cut the difference between the 2 of them. And when that's done correctly, you'll create the shape where it's still at that 3, right at the transition point, and everything else underneath it is at a 2, and it's cleared and ready to go for the fade work. Now I'm coming in with my Babeless FX
I'm using my Babeless FX trimmers
and I'm
to
keeping
set
my
in my
hand
bald line right
as
now.
light as I can while doing this.
And then after that,
and
I'm
just
gonna
focusing on making that top
clear
line
out the
as
bulk
clean as I
underneath
possibly
it.
can. Even though anything that's not super clean is going to get cleaned up when I take the bulk. So as I clear the bulk, I am also flicking into the guide that I created to kind of get rid of any harshness from me setting it in with my trimmer like that. Because I know that this trimmer will also flick out what this trimmer set in. Man, shout out to Babeless for consistently having the best trimmer in the game for years now. Now I'm using my FX3 shavers to just get the bald part as bald as I possibly can. And when I do this, I come under and leave about an inch of space and then tap with the grain on the line that it created. Now I'm coming in with no guard open, and as I go up into that, I'm kind of more on the bevel of my clipper. And you can see I'm just starting from behind the ears so that I can preserve the C cup and really take my time on that one. And I'm dropping the guideline and only making it like a little wider as it goes back. And then I'm gonna come through with the clipper closed right here and kind of flick that line up and then erase the last little bit of that line with it at halfway. And I think to me it kind of looks like you're just pushing the line back up into the section as you do this. Now I'm setting in my 1 open, and when I set in a 1 open, I like to keep it pretty wide in the fade. I think most of the fade happens in your 1 section. So as I bring in the 1 open, after I get that where I like it, I'll close it halfway and I'll come almost completely into that section. I'll go about 3/4 of the way, maybe even 5/8 of the way into that section with it halfway, and then I'll close it all the way and come about halfway into that section that I just cut. And that way I know that once I get the half out, it'll just be like my little magic eraser that erases the rest of the line. Now I'm coming in with the half guard, you guys. I know some people like to run this like a full step, open, middle, closed, but I really only use the middle and with slight lever work as I go if I need to detail that. But I know the differences in the millimeters, and halfway should take out anything that I did with the 1. And then the same thing with the 1.5 guard. It's just to bridge the gap between that open 1 and the 2. So I'm just coming in using corners with it halfway to bridge that gap between the 2 of them. And when I get to the other side, it's the same steps over here. You know, we debulk with the 2, clear everything for the fade work, set in a bald line, debulk that, hit it with this shaver, make multiple levels of gradients so that even in that, it's like its own little step that adds a dynamic to the fade. And then it's open, close, middle with no guard. Open, middle, close with the one guard. And then just bridging those gaps with the two half guards. So super easy. I use this whole formula for every haircut. And as I go on making content, I plan on giving you more detailed breakdowns of what's going on. And I also did Alex's beard in this haircut, and for the total of 1 hour of work, he paid me about $75 after tip. So, you know, not bad for an hour's worth of work. But as you can see right there, I just used the shaver, so we're running through the same steps, man. Same steps on this side. If you're new to the channel, man, welcome. Thank you for watching. And if you haven't already, go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit that little bell for all the notifications. And if you hate this, dislike it and comment. Comment mean things to me. Hurt my feelings. I don't care. And also for little mini tutorials, you can catch me making reels on my Instagram, which is the same handle. It's @BoltActionCuts. So go ahead and give me a follow on there too if you're liking what you see. But as I said, it's the same steps right here. We're in the open one portion of this, just setting that guide in. And then we're gonna come up underneath that with it halfway. And then finish it off, going halfway into the section with it closed. I'm finding it really difficult to trim the fat from these videos, so to speak. So I'm trying to run through the other side just as fast as I can to kind of get some of the length out of the video so it's not so boring and it's maybe a little bit more engaging for you guys. But it is the same exact steps. And as we come into the back, only a little bit changes. I'm just trying to make sure that the back blends in with the two sides. But it's the same steps. I'm debulking it for the two, for the fade work. Kind of just making sure that everything looks good with the perimeter. And then I'm going in open with no guard. And I'm working that to where it's a little fat, to where it actually blends into the sections on the sides. And then it's closed and middle to finish it off with a little light lever work to make sure everything's uniform and we're cutting the color here. Then we're setting it in with the one. And what I mean by cutting the color is sometimes, especially in the back of the head, you're gonna have indentions in the head, or their occipital bone is gonna be very pronounced. And no matter what you do, even if the hair is at the same length, there's gonna be darker spots. So you're gonna lighten that up. And maybe the hair is technically shorter in that spot, but the color of it, the lightness of it, the contrast of it is gonna be the same and is gonna be uniform. But I'm coming through and I'm lightening this up with just corners because my half guard wasn't really fitting the bill here. And the back's always the trickiest. The back's always gonna be the hardest part, guys. It's where the occipital bone is. Like I said, you know, it's where the most shadows get casted in your fade. And I'm bridging the gap now between the 2 and the 1 section with the 1.5. And just making sure that those match side to side and in the back. And lots of the time, guys, it might look like I'm using the whole clipper, but I'm just coming through with the sides, especially on detail work, just the sides. I might use like 2 teeth. I can run through a haircut pretty fast, especially just my system pretty fast at this point, to where there's more time freed up in the service for detail work than there used to be. And I think that's what my clients appreciate, is just the amount of time that I take fine-tuning the details of their haircut. Whether that be with the corners, whether that be with shear over comb, like right here. And when I'm using shear over comb, I'm just using the tips of the shear and just cutting the tips of the hair that come up. So just fine tuning that a little bit, and then I'm gonna move on to the edge up. And I did this on both sides. And detailed the entire haircut with a multitude of techniques. And like I said, guys, if you want more detailed breakdowns of anything that I did in this, let me know in the comments. Because detail work, man, it's so intuitive, and it's one of those things you kind of just got to train your eye for. And now we're moving on to the style. So I'm starting with some sea salt, kind of just working that through the top. And just really working that in with a light sea salt cream that I'm about to work in through the top of his hair as well, which is by Modern Pirate, which is the brand that I've been using lately as far as pomades go. And just really, you cannot take too long working products like this through the hair. Working clays and creams into the hair is super important to the finished style. And then with a blow dryer, I'm setting the perimeter up for how I want the texture to look and lay. And then coming up in kind of the middle of the style portion and trying to push it up and create a little bit of volume with my blow dryer right now before I just go straight diffuser with it. Guys, the time you take on the styling is what is really going to determine how the final product of the hair turns out. So the more time you spend styling, the better the final product will be. And as I get to the diffuser, that's when I start scrunching, pulling, and just pulling that texture out with my fingers. And from there, I'll move on to setting everything in with hairspray and creating the distance between little sections of his hair with my fingers. I'm just doing the most for this style right now and taking steps back from it at times to see the shape that I'm building, not getting too caught up on the trees when the forest is what the real focus is. Like the way that everything actually looks from the front and the sides and the top is what I want to focus on. And this is how it turned out. Alex loved it. He paid $75 for it. And that's a wrap on this video, guys. So if you want to shoot me a follow, subscribe, like, and comment, interact with me, let me know what else you guys want to see. I'll get right on it. Thanks for watching. Bolt Action out.